happy to you. I'm strategist, speaker, and coach Karina Dykes, also known as KDD Extension. And today I'm going to give you 3 strategies to keep you afloat in this pandemic, okay? Now this session is titled, Be Strategic or Else. So the conference theme this year is about creating reality. And I love that because the thing about that is that you must be able to create regardless of what's happening around you or to you. And baby, if this pandemic didn't teach us anything else, it taught us that. The pandemic hit and it didn't matter what your status was. It didn't matter your tax bracket. Like everyone was affected in some way by this situation, okay? The reason I needed to paint that picture was because there will be some times when you are blindsided by the things of life, just like this pandemic, and you may or may not be able to do anything about it, okay? However, as a visionary, this is why you must be able to foresee. You have to be able to foresee. Now, when we talk about foreseeing, we're talking about being aware beforehand, okay? And don't get me wrong, there are just some things that you won't be able to predict, I don't think anybody anticipated COVID. I don't think anybody anticipated what it was going to do to us, so there are some things that you just will not be able to predict, no problem. However, if you are going to be a visionary, you have got to be found envisioning so that regardless of the storm, you can still sail. Ooh, I'm helping somebody already, okay? Now, the reason you must be able to foresee and envision is because you have to strategically plan ahead. You have to. But get this, you cannot properly plan for what you will not anticipate. You're not going to be able to do it. Nope, you're not going to. Now, in other words, before you move, you got to know where you're going. Where are you going? What is the intended result? No, you may not know everything, but as a visionary, you should be able to see something. Okay, y'all don't want to talk to me today, but I committed to it, so I'm going to talk to y'all. You may not initially know how you're going to get there, okay? But you won't ever get there if you haven't identified where there is. You have to identify. So the first thing you got to do is identify where you're going. Okay? You got to know where you're going, visionary. I tell people all the time, you can jump in your car and turn on that GPS all you want to, but it will not guide you until you put in an address. Okay? What am I saying to you, visionary? I'm glad you asked. Where there is no destination, there is no direction. There is no direction, okay? If you are going to go somewhere, you must identify where you are going. Where you going? Where you going? Okay, now this is necessary because you cannot plan without a destination. You can't plan without a destination, and a lack of planning is just breeding grounds for unnecessary failure. You didn't even have to fail that last time, but because you failed to plan, yeah, you planned to fail. Yeah. Don't believe me? Let me illustrate. I'm an illustrator, and so I'm going to illustrate it for you. You don't believe me? I'm going to show you, okay? If you know graduation is your ultimate destination, okay, you know how to find out, you know that you have to find out the requirements in order to get there, right? Now, okay, I need 120 credit hours. I got to make a C or above in all of my classes. I'm going to have to do a field placement my senior year. Right? Because I understand what my ultimate destination is. I'm going to do whatever it takes to find out how to get there. Okay? But baby, if you just in school, just to be in school, and you've yet to identify graduation as your ultimate goal, then you're going to do what you want to do and not what you need to do because your to-do doesn't have a destination attached to it. Oh, come on and help the house, Karina. I think I will. If you are serious about getting out of there, okay, and when you realize that graduation has to be your goal, that is the only way you're getting out of there, unless you're going to drop out and get kicked out. But the positive destination is graduation. When you understand that, you will do whatever it takes to first identify the requirements and then meet them. Baby, you cannot meet what you will not identify. You're not going to be able to do it, okay? So thing number 2, the second thing you have to do is you have to learn how to embrace change, okay? Now, success is made available to us all, okay? But you've got to be prepared for what comes along with it. Okay? It's stuff that come along with success. It's stuff that comes along with accomplishing stuff. It's made available to you, but you can't take success without the journey to success, okay? And change is one of those things. Adapting to change is going to be a requirement, visionary, for where you are going. You got to get it, and you got to get it quickly. Okay, if you are going to do well with the success that you are walking into, you're going to have to be open to change, and you're going to have to learn how to adapt quickly. All right, visionaries, you cannot sell a ship if you derail at the sign of a storm. It's just the sign of, it ain't even storming yet and you unraveling. No, you have to be able to think quickly and strategically so that you can uphold the vision. No. Some of y'all sink for no reason. Some of y'all go down for no reason. I mean, it's still hot outside. What you got a coat on for? No reason. Don't panic. Winter is coming, but it's not here yet. Don't panic. Okay? Now, let me say this, back up. Just as COVID, okay, and this whole pandemic stuff, okay, and I have to keep addressing that because that's where we at, and I need you to know that you can do all right here. But just as this pandemic has showed us, okay, certain changes will take place that are beyond your norm and beyond your control. But as a leader, this is why you have to embrace the type of change that is guaranteed to come. Because if you don't, then what was built won't last. And woe to the one who spent all this time, all these years building something, and then let this pandemic, as big or small as it has affected your business, to just come and just sweep it away. No, and no again. Okay? So here's what you're going to have to do. All right? You have to anticipate change so you can prepare ahead of time and put yourself in the position to keep ascending even when things are declining. Woo, listen, I'm not going to decline because the rest of the world is declining. My business is not going to go down because the rest of the world is going down. No. You have to prepare in a way that will put you in a position to keep rising when everything is falling. Okay? Now, I'm almost done. But the third and final thing that you have to do is you have to build your stamina. Okay? Now, in order to carry the vision full term, you have to pace yourself so you can endure to the end. You got to be able to endure, visionary. And with that, you have to be equipped to withstand the test and the trials that's going to come your way. They coming. You may not like it. You may not want to anticipate it. You may not want to think about it. But if you stay in the game long enough, you're going to face somebody trial. You're going to face somebody tribulation. Okay? You have to have stamina. You got to have stamina. Well, what is stamina? I'm glad you asked. Y'all asked some amazing questions. Okay? Stamina now is just the ability to sustain prolonged physical or mental effort. Okay? Now, as it pertains to stamina, this is one of the greatest things that you'll ever obtain when you're running with vision. Okay? However, it can also be one of the most difficult things to develop. All right? Now, you can say what you want about a virus, any virus, not just this virus, the flu, any virus. You can say what you want to say about a virus, but as unwanted as a virus is, its best attribute is its ability to fully run its course. Like it or not, baby, this virus is going to fully run its course. It has no respect of person. It has no respect of color. It has no respect of gender. It has no respect of status. It will not lift until it has fully run its course. Okay? Visionary. When was the last time you took the attitude that no matter how long it took, you was not going to let up until it was effectively done? Excuse me. When was the last time? Because this is the thing. For where you're going is going to have to be about stamina and not about speed. Okay. Stamina and not about speed. I'm going to just leave that because that's a whole nother teaching for a whole nother day. While you are working your vision, visionary, okay, you are going to have to possess more than just a quick turnaround time. You got to have some type of staying power. You have to. Why? Because speed will get you there, okay? But stamina is going to keep you there. Am I making sense to anybody? Speed ain't enough. There will be some things like you have to adapt quickly to change. But as it pertains to this, you need speed over stamina. Excuse me, stamina over speed. Come on, follow me. All right. Now, when it comes to building true staying power, it is going to require you to train and condition your mind in a way that will sustain you even when things get chaotic. Okay. And the key to success is not about arriving first, it's about arriving alive. Okay? Who cares that you weren't the first to do it? The question is, were you effective when you finally did it? Like, and don't get me wrong, rank is good, okay? But it's not always the most essential part of the equation. It's not. Timeliness and potency will yield a more wholesome return even if you come in second. Listen, I'd rather be potent at second than weak at first. No. So you got to build your stamina so you can last. Right? Does that make sense to anybody? Okay. Now, some of you may be asking, how do I build my stamina? That's a great question, okay? And this is going to be my final piece. But building stamina is literally like building a muscle, okay? It will not appear overnight, okay? But if you strategically and consistently work at it, you're going to eventually see it. Now, there are going to be many practices. There are just many things that you can do to build your stamina, but I'm just going to give you one to jumpstart your journey, okay? Now, I want you to identify what invigorates you, okay? Because when you identify and implement invigorating activities, when things become overwhelming, it's going to strengthen you, it's going to liven you up, and it's going to energize you for the task at hand, okay? So not only will they refresh you, but it will also prevent you from breaking down and making irrational decisions, okay? So you got to start with this practice, and you got to work them daily in order to build great stamina. Stamina is going to be required in this season and in the next. Now, let me talk to some of you who may have lost some things during this time, okay? Or you may have unraveled just a little bit because of all of the changes. Or perhaps you put the vision back on the shelf because you just couldn't figure out how to maintain it. You know, and we do that sometimes. It's just like, I can't figure this out. I'm going to sit this down. Regardless of what has happened to you during this time, you still have bounce back ability. Okay? Now, I need you guys to hone in on this, okay? Because I have to prove it to you. Okay, and I'm going to do that by giving you 3 ways to actually bounce back from your setback. Okay, this is for those of you who set it on a shelf, those of you who unraveled just a little bit, those of you who gave up a little bit or a lot of bit. This right here is for you. Okay, now the first thing you're going to have to do is remember where you were headed before the turbulence hit. Okay, now what were you doing before the storm? What were you working on before the hell? What were you working to accomplish before all of the change, before the world shut down? Okay, now if you can't answer this, all right, it's going to be very difficult to bounce back, right? Because this now indicates that you lacked direction before you started. Okay, if this is your case, it's okay, but before you attempt to bounce back, you got to go back to the first point that I made, which is to get clarity on where you're going. Okay, now for those of you who had a setback yet you were very clear on where you were headed, all right, you just now have got to get that destination back on your mind. That's all you have to do, okay? Not only will you have to get the destination back on your mind, but you're going to have to remember the reasons you started the journey in the first place, okay? So get what matters on your mind, okay? And let that thing serve as the driving force to your return. Okay, so I'm dealing with two different types right here. Those of you who got knocked down and you looking for a bounce back, but you got to hold on and you got to go back and find out where you're going. I'm talking to those of you who had a little setback. You're ready to bounce back. You know exactly where you were heading, and all you got to do is get the thought back in your mind, get the memory back in your mind. Okay. Now the second thing you must do is recalibrate. Okay. Now have you ever been following a GPS and you accidentally missed a turn? What happens? It starts to identify where you are in conjunction to where you're going, and it immediately provides another way. What am I saying to you? Baby, even after missing the mark, things can still work out for you. Things can still work out for you. It is absolutely okay to go a different route in order to get to your destination. And get this, sometimes it's actually necessary, okay? It is really okay. When you have faced a setback with your vision, turn on your recalibrating abilities and identify how to get to the same place going a different way. So finally, okay, in order for you to effectively bounce back after you have had a setback, you're going to have to forget. Okay, now I know you're probably thinking, well, honey, just a few seconds ago you told me to remember, and now you're telling me to forget. Yes, absolutely yes. Okay, you are going to have to let go of the very memory that is holding you hostage. Yeah, you got to let go of that because that is keeping some of you stuck. Okay. You absolutely cannot keep the recollection of it in the forefront of your mind and expect to grow beyond the trauma. It's not going to happen that way for you, okay? You're going to have to see it for what it was, and then you just simply make a conscious decision to leave the negative effects of it behind so it doesn't affect you moving forward, okay? Now, that's what you're going to leave, but let me put a pin right here and talk to you about what you should take, okay? What I need you to be intentional about taking with you, okay, are the lessons that are associated with the devastation, okay? Leave the devastation, but take the lesson, okay? And this is what separates the good from the great. It doesn't matter what happens to you. It doesn't matter how bad it was or how it made you feel. You've got to be intentional about taking what you learn and you have to apply it where necessary, okay? And once you do this, you're going to truly see the value of a learned lesson. Just apply what you discovered. Just apply what you discovered. Just apply what you discovered. And those applications are going to prevent and or alleviate you from making some of the same mistakes over and over, okay? Now I'm done, but as a brief recap, I want you guys to be reminded that the first thing that you have to do while you're maintaining vision is identify where you're going, okay? Before you start moving, before you start trying to build momentum, I need you to identify where you are headed, okay? Thing number 2, you got to embrace change. Be open to it. Change is inevitable. It's going to happen. Do not let it catch you off guard, okay? Thing number 3, you got to build your stamina. Find you some staying power, okay? And if you've had some setback, be reminded that you still have bounce back ability. Now put your hands together for yourself and just remember to simply be great. Once again, I'm Karina Dykes, also known as Katie the Extension, and it's been a pleasure.